I can have the elementary school principal and the assistant principal for the MAC put together something for you guys to react to. I would be suggesting perhaps moving a staff person from the pre-K area to the kindergarten area, or at least a position, not necessarily a staff, because that gets into transfers and all that. But at least the position from pre-K into K, which would necessitate us changing a little bit the way we do preschool. So before we go any further, I would love to know what the school committee is thinking in terms of, we already put together a budget that doesn't include additional teachers. So this is one of those, if you do one thing, you're going to have to take it out of somewhere else.
How many students are in K right now?
It's about 130. Is it just 123, including?
This year in K, right now.
This year in K, it's 123.
Including the ones that are, well, no, that's the multi-age, you're right. There's some kids in there that are actually preschool
And
age.
what's the average class size with that 123 right now?
23 or 24.
23, 24.
23, 24.
Next year would be about 28 students in a class right now, without more, or 29, without
29.
any new enrollments between now and September.
So if it goes to 150, you're looking at classes of 30. I don't recommend that for kindergarten.
You mentioned pre-K. What is your thought process on where you would be going with that?
Pre-K is not a requirement other than to provide services to students who have disabilities at that age level. The requirement is that we provide services. It doesn't specify the length of services. So it would basically be looking at a combination of some days would be full-time, some days would be half-time. And, for the students who have special needs, we would be able to put them in the program that's most appropriate for their level of needs, whether it be a full-day program 2-3 days a week, or whether it be a half-day program 2-3 days a week. That's where I'm trying to read where the school committee would be. We had this a couple of years ago, but, again, we kind of go up and down depending on the number of students that come into the system. So without adding or subtracting from the system, one year you have extra support in pre-K, one year you move it up to kindergarten. It may mean cutting the number of slots available for non-special ed families for preschool, or may limit them to just be able to come in either for some of the full-day program or some of the half-day programs. It could, however, also be combined with one of the ideas that I had put in terms of not necessarily taking over CFC, but establishing something at the Macomber School so that if you have a half-day program, then your child could come to more of a daycare program. As really, it's not preschool, so you're not going to be teaching, so you don't really have to have a certified staff in charge of the class or the students that are going to be in daycare.
Similar to the extended program that's
Similar
there
to
now.
the extended program. So you could make it with a combination of that, because my hope is that part of the program, the daycare portion, anybody who wants to participate in that would have to basically pay tuition for it, and hopefully it'd be self-sufficient. So again, it's looking for a way to shift resources to where they're needed, making some available concessions to preschool, but at the same time, making the program self-sufficient.
Mr. Larry?
Through the chair, Dr. Cully. I know you mentioned you may realize some savings in special ed, and we want to have some type of a buffer for what may happen, this and that. How soon may you have an answer on that? Because instead of disrupting because there are some kids that are in their first part of preschool that are expecting the second year of preschool before K, before disrupting lots and lots of families, if we're going to realize a savings, just add another teacher at that point for K and keeping preschool the way it is, because either limiting preschool or eliminating the full day or half days, this or that, and finagling things, I just see an awful lot of families in Westport being really disrupted.
If I could just interject, just to answer
Sure.
that. Right now, I believe we have about 72 kids enrolled for preschool next year. So that's significantly lower than what we have.
This year.
But you also, when do you see your big influx of, through the chair, I'm sorry for speaking to the crowd. Sorry, Mrs. Wilkinson.
I'm sure the audience hears you, but not the people at home.
When do you see your big influx of registrations for preschool happen?
We've already had preschool registration, so generally the majority of them are at that time. So when we looked to give a proposal to the superintendent, we looked at the form that goes home. It asks for your priority of what you want for preschool.
Sure.
So what's your first choice, what's your second choice? So we went through, and actually Julie did a lot of that, going through and really looking at what parents wanted and what programs parents wanted. And right now, we don't, with what we have, we only have enough for 2 teachers, and which would end up being 6 sessions of preschool, because each teacher would do 3 sessions. So with that, we could take up to 90 students, and right now we're below
Right.
that. A
So
couple
this
of
is something
years
that you
ago,
would
we had to
recommend
lay a teacher off half-time because we didn't have enough kids to support it.
Okay.
So this year has really been kind of against the norm, and that's what we're seeing going to kindergarten next year. So we're seeing this bubble, and then, the following year, we don't have as many kids, so we wouldn't expect as many the following year for kindergarten
Okay.
either.
So this is something that you've recommended that we may, okay.
We could do the shift, but, at the end of the day, this is, again, looking at the budget from the lens of, can we do it? Yes. Is this a place the school committee wants to go? I mean, because you could also go in the other direction, which is to just do everything full-time at preschool, and then we wouldn't have the ability to do that. Preschool allows you the flexibility because it's not required. So, again, I'm playing the devil's advocate here. If we're going to try to keep the budget the way it is, moving the teacher from preschool to kindergarten, or the position from preschool to kindergarten, keeps everything status quo. If we have to adjust from the number of sessions that are full-time to half-time, we may be able to recoup some of that and still provide some services through a daycare type of option. Just want to make sure that before we go any further in exploring this, the school committee feels comfortable with this, because it'll require us contacting the parents of the students who are now already registered for preschool to let them know that there'll be other options, but I don't want
We
to
haven't told
spend the
any
time.
preschool parents yet
Well, they
what
don't know
they
now.
will have. So
Well,
that,
that's why we're,
they've
but
told
we're
us what
bringing it
they're
to you
interested
first,
in.
rather than
And
playing
then
it out in the
also
court
worth
of
noting, with a
public
sixth-
opinion.
With a 6th kindergarten class, we'll also get a little bit more money if the full-day K grant stays as it has been. So you get grants for the full day based on how many classrooms you have. So when we went from 6 to 5, we actually lost some money in the K grant.
Yes.
So we'll be able to request a little bit more money in it as well, which a lot of that money pays for the part-time paras that are in the classroom, so it will help a little bit. I mean, it may be $6,000, $8,000. I mean, it's not a significant amount of money, but, we will be able to request a little bit more
That's only if they leave
if
that
they,
grant
if they
alone.
leave it as it is.
Okay.
Mr. Sullivan?
I appreciate your input, Ms. Wilkinson, and I do have some questions on the trend on, you're suggesting that this is up a bit, the 72?
No, it's
No,
down
down.
this year.
Down.
Down
And
We have about
significantly.
100
With the input and dialogue that we've had, even as
About the
we've
same.
sat here, there's a lot of options going on that may or may not be the way that pre-K rolls out in September. I wonder if that discussion